Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to unpack exactly how you can win financially no matter what your specific income is right now. Because here's a fundamental truth we're going to explore today. It doesn't matter where your income starts, it absolutely does not define where your wealth journey ends. Whether you're just starting out in your career or you're hitting those peak earning years, building real wealth is 100% attainable for you. To guide us through this, we're going to follow a mapped out, aspirational level up journey today. We'll start with the concept of wealth at any income, and then we're diving into actionable blueprints for mastering a 50K salary, a 100K strategy, accelerating at 150K, and finally reaching high earner mastery at 300K. So, part one, wealth at any income, the universal truth. And just to set a quick baseline for our numbers today, our calculations assume standard deductions, W-2 wages, filing jointly as a married couple, and zero state income tax. Okay, let's look at the actual mechanics. The absolutely crucial point here is grasping a concept we call your army of dollar bills. Look, at any income level, every single dollar you earn needs to be given a specific mission. When you save and invest early, each one of those dollars becomes a relentless worker in your army. They use compound interest to build your long-term wealth completely behind the scenes. The whole key to winning this game is getting that army working for you as early as humanly possible. Okay, let's level up. Section 2, mastering your 50K salary. We call this the Launchpad. Making $50,000 a year puts you right around the 30th percentile nationwide. That equates to roughly $24 an hour, which brings your net take-home pay to about $3,700 a month. Now, before you do literally anything else, your very first mission is building a financial safety net. You've got to accumulate a $10,000 to $20,000 emergency fund. This gives you 3 to 6 months of liquid cash sitting right there readily available, so a minor emergency like a car repair doesn't derail your entire financial plan. Now, notice how we allocate that $3,700. We are completely abandoning that standard 50-30-20 budgeting rule here, because let's be honest, that rule's kind of tone deaf for a 50K salary. Instead, we use a much more realistic split. A heavy 75% goes to your needs. That's $2,800 doing the heavy lifting to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. Then 15%, or $550, goes to wants, acting as a buffer for unexpected monthly costs. And finally, that leaves a 10% net savings rate of $370 a month. When you factor in taxes, that actually works out to a 9% gross savings rate. You might be thinking, is 9% really enough? Well, think about these outcomes. If a 20-year-old just invests that $370 every single month, they can build a portfolio of nearly $2 million by retirement. $2 million. If you start at 25, it's about $1.3 million. Even starting at 30, it's still $850,000. And remember, at this income level, you should definitely be counting any employer match you get. Plus, Social Security is going to heavily boost your retirement income replacement down the line. You can easily replace over 80% of your pre-retirement income just by starting early. But to achieve this, you really need the right mindset. You must be incredibly intentional with every single dollar, because there just isn't a ton of margin for error here. You have to avoid mindless spending, and this is absolutely crucial. Stay completely away from credit card debt. The average monthly credit card payment right now is $181. That isn't funding your lifestyle, it's funding the banks. Don't let your future success be gutted by bad consumption. You have to be patient. If you're a young earner, you are quite literally a billionaire of time. Use it. All right, level 3, the 6-figure 100K strategy. Let's see how things change. Hitting $100,000 a year translates to about $48 an hour. And if this is a household income, you've just pushed into the 57th percentile in the country. Let's drop the big number here. 100K means your net take-home pay jumps to $7,100 a month. But here's the catch. With this larger income comes a larger lifestyle to protect. So your required emergency reserves actually have to move up into the $20,000 to $40,000 range. Now that you've got a bigger shovel, those classic budgeting rules finally become fully viable. Your needs drop down to 50% of your budget, or about $3,500. Your wants take up 30%, and crucially, your net savings doubles to 20%, which is $1,400 every single month. When you do the math on the gross income, this equates to a very healthy 17% gross savings rate. I really want to contrast the incredible power of time here. If you start saving that 17% gross at age 25, you could yield a staggering $5 million portfolio. That would eventually replace 86% of your working income when combined with Social Security. But what if you didn't figure all this stuff out until later? Say you start from absolutely zero at age 35. Well, that same savings rate still builds a $2.1 million nest egg, successfully replacing 60% of your income. Retiring comfortably is still entirely possible without adopting a super scarce, panic mindset. The 100K mindset is really all about tightening up the ship. You definitely have more flexibility now, but not enough to be frivolous. Track your spending to find any of those hidden leaks. Automate all of your savings so your army of dollars is deployed without you even having to think about it. And start utilizing sinking funds. Basically, set money aside predictably for known future hits, like replacing your car or paying annual property taxes, so they don't completely disrupt your financial life on a random Tuesday. Let's keep climbing. Level 4, accelerating wealth at 150K. What a milestone this is. At roughly $72 an hour, placing you securely in the 73rd percentile, you have crossed the highly aspirational 5-figure monthly threshold with $10,000 in take-home pay. With this level of success, your baseline expenses are inevitably higher. That means your 3 to 6 month emergency fund must now swell to between $30,000 and $60,000. Here's what your 150K dashboard looks like. Because your income has scaled up so much, your needs actually take up a significantly smaller slice of the pie, just 40% or $4,000. Wants stay steady at 30%, giving you $3,000 for abundance and lifestyle goals, and you are now generating a massive 30% net savings rate. That's $3,000 a month. Because of how taxes work at this income level, that net 30% translates directly to a 24% gross savings rate. Now, let's look at the harsh mathematical reality of starting late. The typical American waits until their mid-30s to invest. If you start at 35, saving that 24% gross easily gets you to a normal, comfortable retirement. But what if you delay until age 45 at this income level? You would have to save nearly 40% of your gross pay just to replace 60% of your income by retirement. Time is the ultimate wealth multiplier, and waiting makes the heavy lifting, well, incredibly heavy. To really succeed here, you need some 150K cheat codes. First up, you have to defeat lifestyle creep. When you get a raise, use the 60-40 split. Immediately put 60% of the raise directly into investments and allow 40% to improve your lifestyle. Second, you've got to master the 3-bucket tax strategy. This means you are deliberately allocating your investments across pre-tax accounts for immediate deductions, tax-free accounts for future growth, and after-tax accounts so you have totally accessible liquidity. And finally, we reach the apex level. Level 5, 300K mastery. A $300,000 annual income is a massive $144 an hour shovel. This places households firmly in the top 10% of the entire country. It brings in a staggering $20,000 in monthly take-home pay. But as you might guess, with that massive shovel comes immense responsibility. To safely buffer this kind of high-end lifestyle, you are looking at maintaining a $50,000 to $100,000 emergency fund in cash. True abundance really unlocks lifestyle choices. At this level, needs drop all the way down to just 30%, which is still a very comfortable $5,800. This allows your wants to expand to 38%. That is a full $7,400 a month in purely discretionary spending, all while easily maintaining a 32% net savings rate, which works out to $6,240 a month. That equals the golden 25% gross savings rate. However, we have to issue a serious warning right here. A huge income only acts as an amplifier of your existing habits. If you lack discipline when you make a little, a big income just means you're going to make way bigger financial mistakes. But if you are disciplined, this is exactly where you get to deploy advanced apex-level strategies. We're talking about utilizing mega backdoor Roths to legally funnel extra money into tax-free growth, bunching your charitable giving for massive tax benefits, and exploring alternative investments like real estate to really diversify your portfolio. I want to leave you with this really powerful summarizing mantra from our source material. You do it right, you do it light, you do it wrong, you do it long. Starting early and automating your savings completely removes the heavy lifting of building wealth later in life, regardless of how much you are actually earning right now. So what is your next financial move to level up? I challenge you today to pinpoint exactly which stage of this map you're currently on. Are you just building that initial emergency fund, or are you ready for those advanced tax strategies? Wherever you are, it is time to put your army of dollar bills to work. So the real question to ask yourself is your army resting today, or are they out there conquering your financial future? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you at the next level.